Healing Quest video series, a step-by-step guide to holistic health. Today's program will discuss spiritual and psychic healing.
Well, my name is Shelley Lesson Stockwell, and I'm a hypnotherapist, transpersonal hypnotherapist, which means that I'm very interested in all states of consciousness, the subconscious and the conscious and the superconscious, the part of us that knows expanded things like past lives and future lives and is very intuitive, highly creative. So I'm interested in that as a hypnotist, and I'm also a trance channel, which means that I put myself into an altered state and my guides speak through me.
This film focuses on the philosophy and origins of psychic healing. We'll explore the 7 main chakras of the body and how they relate to the physical, emotional, and spiritual self. It also includes some rare footage of psychic surgery and a fascinating study of art as it relates to you.
The gift of healing rests within everyone. Everyone can receive healing, and everybody can learn to heal others or themselves. Healing is a natural part of our lives, although we may not always be aware of it. Usually, when a part of our bodies are hurt, we touch that area to help stop the pain. This natural instinct also sends a healing energy to that hurt part and allows the body to heal. Mothers touch, hold, kiss, or caress their children whenever they are in pain. When we are joyful, happy, energized, or in a good mood, a touch seems more pleasant to others than when we are in a bad mood. This energy is called our human energy field, or more commonly known as the human aura. We all can perceive this field, although maybe not consciously. For instance, commonly we immediately like or dislike a stranger to whom we are introduced through a sense or feeling. This is called higher sense perception and simply refers to our senses expanded beyond the normal ranges we are used to, sometimes referred to as the sixth sense. Another type of energy, called the life force or universal energy field, is the pure energy that surrounds us all. In spiritual healing, a healer will regulate his or her own energies to allow the universal energy to pass from his or her body to the recipient and allow healing to occur.
Spiritual healing, you can't really heal the spirit. The spirit isn't sick, but spiritual healing means using the energies from the spiritual level, which is the next dimension, which is the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th dimension. It's a matter of the healer or the person, myself, being a channel for that healing. So I'm very aware that I have to meditate before a healing to open up all my channels, particularly the crown chakra, and have all my energies flowing so that I can be used as a healing channel. Also, spiritual healing, I feel, is different from psychic healing in the fact that there's a lot more philosophy involved. So even though I may do hands-on healing, which in actual fact anyone can do, it's like in the olden or back in biblical times, or even in church where we pray for healing. And so anyone can actually put their hands on somebody else and pray for a healing. The spiritual healing that I deal with, the way it's different from psychic healing, is the philosophy that's involved. There are a lot of psychic people who aren't spiritual, and I guess there are spiritual people who aren't psychic. When you develop your spiritual talents, I suppose, you find that you are becoming more psychic or clairvoyant. And it's because the spiritual centre, the third eye centre, once that's cleared and opened and you're channeling, you can't help but see what perhaps somebody with just their physical eyes cannot see. I certainly found that with myself. I knew that when I was a very young girl that everyone used to kid around, oh, you're a bit psychic, and I used to have dreams, etc., that came true, but didn't think any more about developing it. But when I studied meditation and made the decision that I was going to work as a spiritual worker, I certainly found that I started becoming aware and seeing different things that I was never aware of before. I became aware of presence, spiritual energy around me, guidance. I've actually seen an angel, but I didn't see it with my physical eyes. So you just start to become more aware of other things as well that are actually not of this dimension, this third dimension.
There's really no faith needed, but a belief that you have these abilities and invoke them into you, and you feel the energy. You actually can see, if you can see auras, you can see the energy flowing from the fingers, and your auric field gets bigger and brighter. And so if you take auric photographs, you can actually see that this energy is there, and the same energy that you can see in Reiki.
A session with a spiritual healer may or may not involve direct physical contact with a patient. Some work off the body and follow their intuition in treating each individual. Although everyone's reaction will be different, recipients of a spiritual healing have reported hot or cold sensations under the healer's hands, pins and needles, or tingling sensations. Some feel better immediately after a healing, while others may need repeated treatments. Some spiritual healers offer absent healing, where healing thoughts are sent to a person wishing to be healed without any physical contact being made. Spiritual healers may use different tools or methods of channeling healing energy to their patients, which may include assistance from spiritual guides, crystals, coloured lights, radionics, Kirlian photography, laying on of the hands, faith healing, spirit healing, psychic surgery, absent healing, aura healing and photography, past life therapy, soul-directed healing, or therapeutic touch. Most reputable spiritual healers stress that there are few miracle cures during a healing, and much of the permanent improvement of a condition relies on the patient's attitude and efforts to get well. Spiritual healing goes back to the beginning of time. Early cultures, such as ancient Egyptian and Greek, believed that many illnesses were a result of non-physical forces. There were never any suggestions that illness or disease was merely bad luck, a matter of an invading germ, or just a part of the human mechanism going wrong. The ancients believed that some sort of disharmony between humanity and God or divine forces were the cause of all bodily sickness. Most Christians would say that the earliest and greatest spiritual healer was Jesus, who is said to have healed the sick, cured the blind, and raised the dead. In pre-Christian times, yogists from the East are believed to have been able to heal themselves and others through creative meditation and prayer. The very first miracle healer officially documented was the Egyptian Imhotep, who was both a magician and physician at the court of King Zoser in about 3000 BC. After his death, Imhotep would, according to legend, heal patients in their dreams. The Greek physician Asclepios was also a wondrous spiritual healer. After his death, a major cult grew honouring him like Imhotep. He was reported to heal and perform operations through dreams. Even today, Asclepios is the patron saint of modern medicine, with his emblem of a snake coiled around a rod. During the 1st century AD, Christianity, still in its infancy, considered that all healing was truly a spiritual gift, and that anybody possessing this gift had been blessed by the Holy Spirit. In the 2nd century AD, healing work was only performed by Christian bishops and priests. However, by the 4th century, the whole concept of spiritual healing had virtually died, and healing was no longer considered to be part of the Christian ministry. Spiritual healing, although not having completely disappeared in the Western world, did not resurface in the West until the end of the 19th century, when Henry Olcott and Petra van Blavatsky founded the first modern Theosophical Society. Theosophy, which aimed to reconcile Eastern and Western religions, was ridiculed and reviled by many religious factions. However, the society survived and brought back the idea of the spiritual in the concept of sickness and disease, which today attributes to many holistic forms of medicine. Christian Science, which today is still a powerful movement, particularly in America, also contributed to the reoccurrence of spiritual healing in modern times. Christian Scientists believe that spiritual healing is just as available to people nowadays as it was during Christ's ministry. The movement was founded in 1875 by Mary Baker Eddy with the publication of Science and Health, the first modern doctrine that stated that illness and disease were basically all in the mind. In the 20th century, numerous spiritual healers emerged throughout the world. In Africa, America, Britain, the Philippines, and Australia, healers, mostly without medical qualifications, worked in extremely primitive conditions. The most famous 20th century spiritual healer was Harry Edwards. Edwards claimed only a 20% failure rate in curing any disease, including cancer, and believed that huge sums of money were wasted in looking for treatments and cures for many diseases. Edwards believed that it was completely possible for any patient to use his or her own thoughts and emotional processes to heal any illness or disease. The following is a list of the most famous spiritual healers of the 20th century. Bruce McManaway, a major in World War II who began putting his hands over the wounded and found that they would often respond with changes in temperature or report a tingling feeling. George Chapman claims to have channeled many spirits to perform spirit operations on the spirit body. Lay doctors who would use healing rays to conduct spirit operations. Betty Shine, a spiritual healer who claims to sense the aura around a person. She has been consulted by many celebrities such as Michael Crawford. Edgar Cayce claims to have been able to diagnose diseases without the patient being present. Rolling Thunder, an American Indian chief of the Cherokee and Shoshone tribes, who in the 60s and 70s demonstrated a remarkable ability to heal many mental and physical illnesses. Reverend William Brown, who speaks in the voices of his spirit guides and conducts spiritual or psychic surgery. Henry Mandel claimed to have cured many life-threatening diseases for which there was no treatment for. And Josephina Sison claimed to have used psychic surgery to cure the incurable. The philosophy behind spiritual healing is based on the belief that all illnesses and diseases come from the blockages in our human energy field or aura. Energies may also be in imbalance with their universal life energy, therefore causing blockages in the body. Blockages may also be caused by negative emotions, stress, anxiety, or similar factors which build up in a particular area.
Well, my theory is that all diseases come from our emotions, our reaction to specific things, our perception of what has happened to us. And I think you can basically say, it extends to say, comes from error in thinking. And men don't cry. Women have to be strong as well, and they suppress things. And so this error in thinking that creates a reaction. If people communicated, if people weren't under all the social stresses that they're under, we wouldn't have these errors in thinking. And that's what the light does. It digs out and regurgitates them. Often after a white light healing, people say, I realise what I was doing. So that's quite significant for all forms of depression or feeling out of sorts.
The way that most people think it's going to help them is if they have a disease, let's say cancer, and they come along and there's something magical that I can do and I'll get rid of their cancer. But this is where the spiritual philosophy comes in about karma, about what you're meant to be learning, what the cancer has brought along for you to learn something. So I always say, when I say my prayer, I actually, over the patient, I always say for their highest good, or whatever needs to be healed will be healed, whatever needs to be revealed will be revealed. Because it's not my judgment or even the patient's judgment as to what's meant to happen. And quite often, you'll have somebody being healed in a spiritual manner, as in they come to understand, they're full of love, forgiveness, understanding, but they still may die. So, you know, it's not always the physical body is repaired. The most satisfying work that I get is the people who emotionally and mentally get healed. That is, there's a lot of depression, a lot of, you know, what it's all about. And so the healing seems to shift these blockages. And I get really excited when they've had a healing and then they say, I really want to learn more about what all this is all about, what is life all about, why am I here? And I know that person is then back on their path and going off to find out what it's all about, but they may have come to me with, you know, I get migraines or I'm depressed or whatever. So that's really just the little catalyst to bring them somewhere, whether it's to me or to anybody else. It's something brings them to somebody for them to say, I guess you could call it enlightenment in a way, but that's what we're all wanting. We're all wanting enlightenment. And it could be the physical body is the catalyst to say, okay, you've got to learn something, and this is how you're going to learn it. And other people, it's relationships. You know, I can't find the right person, nobody loves me. Well, you know, we all think that at some stage, but they may come to me and so when I may give them a hands-on healing, or I may just talk to them. And even when I'm counselling, I may use tarot cards, I may use anything to counsel that person. I ask for whatever comes out of my mouth to be the right thing. So it's not my philosophy or my logic. It's, you know, I just say, okay, guys, you know, whatever needs to be said to this person will be said. And so that's where I need to step out of my ego and just let whatever knowledge or information needs to come through. So it doesn't always have to be a lay down on the couch hands-on healing. It could be just a one-to-one healing.
The white light meditation is specifically beneficial for depression, anger, emotional stress. I've used it on deep depression myself, in conjunction with other treatments that people are having. But there's some remarkable stabilising of the personality that occurs with continued use of the light. It's evident after the first sitting because the person feels different. Oh God, I've had a weight lifted off my shoulder. And that's quite a common remark. And it's very, very akin to the significance of laying on the hands and the heat or the cold they feel, or the static they feel and the Reiki and the heat and the cold, etc. So there is a notable difference, and it has, I think, possibly, that's where it's designed to work and activate, because once you work on the emotional level, everything else falls into place. So the emotional level is besieged with light. That's where it seems to centre. And the depression lifts. It aligns. It aligns the balance within the body, and it aligns the energy coming through the chakras. Because in some kinds of diseases, there's a malalignment of the energy coming through. For example, schizophrenia.
Generally, the feedback that I get is good. You know, I may not have fixed their problem, but they've learnt so much, and it's put them on a different path. You know, they may have to go on to other therapists, whatever. So, you know, I'm a cog in a big wheel, and whatever needs to be learned. There are people that tell me that they feel great, you know, they're grateful and all this sort of stuff, which gives me a great buzz. I have to, you know, you feel enormous satisfaction that you've helped them. So there are people who physically get better, and mentally and emotionally get better. Sometimes down the track they might sort of have a little bit of a fall off the path, if you know what I mean, but they'll either come back to me or they'll keep going. I mean, it really takes us a lifetime to really heal ourselves in mind, body, spirit and emotion, but that's what it's all about.
With the spiritual healing technique that I use, I work on the cellular level of the body. I invoke the light into all of the systems of the body, and we have chakra points within the body that I think most people are familiar with anyway, who read New Age, are familiar with New Age techniques. And these chakras are energy vortexes. Now, if one of these chakra areas, for example, the solar plexus that's concerned with emotions, if that area has emotional turmoil, it throws it into a disturbance. It's not activating as it should. So above and below the solar plexus, there's going to be some aftermath. And with the white light energy, when you draw it in, you're actually aligning the chakras, and you're balancing them. And that can be measured scientifically and physically, I mean quite visually, with the pendulum.
I guess that's when it goes clockwise, and
Yeah.
I guess you want to talk about how some of them are anti-clockwise.
Yes. Well, crystal healers, a lot of crystal healers use the pendulum for measurements, and it's quite interesting because the pendulum above the crown chakra for women goes in an anti-clockwise direction. For men, it goes in a clockwise direction. It's interesting because they're showing you the different polarities, and each chakra point below that will go in the opposite direction. Now, when I'm testing with my hands, I pick these things up with my hands, but I like to see myself and test what I'm seeing and feeling. So I can pick up the energy field in the body and where the chakras, the energy is flowing through. And I can pick it up in all of the, what we call the mind powers of the body, where we have probably autonomic systems, I guess. And when I test it with the pendulum, it confirms for me that I'm doing the right thing. There's no laying on of hands really necessary for some people, and sometimes I don't do that. Following a treatment, I'll use acupressure. I've never studied acupressure, but my guidance is Chinese, and he was a doctor and an alchemist, and I just get him to guide me, and people can feel the vibration. Now all that is doing is giving it an extra little purge so that it activates. It's very similar to acupuncture, but it's not as painful as acupuncture because I don't use much force. But I will hit trigger spots which will be tender for the person being healed.
In spiritual healing, any chronic symptom is a signal of an energy blockage somewhere in the aura, and its specific position and relation to a particular emotion can be determined by using the 7 major chakras located in the body. The word chakra is from the Indian Sanskrit and signifies the wheel of life and death. The chakras are a series of wheel-like vortices which exist at different points on the etheric body. The root chakra is located between the legs. Its fine tip is located right on the sacral coccyx joint. This chakra is associated with the sense of body position, touch, and movement. The root chakra relates to our will to live and supplies the body with physical vitality. This chakra also pertains to the energy of the spinal column, the adrenals, and the kidneys. The second chakra is located just above the pubic bone on the front and back of the body. Its tip is positioned directly center of the sacrum, through which the emotions are sensed. This chakra pertains to our sensuality and sexuality and supplies energy to our sexual organs and our immune system. The third chakra is located in the solar plexus area on the front and back of the body. Its tip is positioned directly between the vertebrae, T12, and lumbar vertebrae, L1. This chakra supplies energy to the organs in the area of the body which include the stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, spleen, and nervous system. This center is also associated with intuition, our relation to the universe, how we take care of ourselves and connect to others. The fourth chakra, or heart chakra, is related to love and will. Through this chakra we sense love relating to the front of the body and will relating to the back. Balance in this chakra is said to occur when love and will are in harmony. The tip of the heart chakra lies on the vertebrae T5 and provides energy for the heart, circulatory system, thymus, vagus nerve, and upper back. The fifth chakra is located in the front and the back of the throat and is associated with the senses of hearing, taste, smell, and is related to giving, receiving, and speaking the truth. The chakra is located in the cervical vertebrae C3 and supplies energy to the thyroid, the bronchi, lungs, and alimentary canal. The sixth chakra is located on the forehead and the back of the head and relates to the energy in the pituitary, lower brain, left eye, ears, nose, and nervous system. This chakra is associated with the sense of sight. The front part of the sixth chakra relates to understanding, and the back relates to carrying out ideas. The seventh chakra is located on the top of the head and supplies energy to the upper brain and the right eye. This chakra is associated with the experience of direct knowledge and the integration of personality. In general, the front portions of the chakras relate to our emotional functions, the back to our will function, and the head chakras to our reason functioning. The way in which each chakra can function properly and not cause dis-ease is thought to occur by balancing our reason, will, and emotions. Spiritual healers use the chakras as a guideline of the energy blockages in our body to attempt to balance, equalize, and synchronize each center and allow the body to regain equilibrium mentally, physically, or spiritually.
Regardless of what the client tells me, I use my own diagnostic techniques, and I check the auric field, and I get actually inside the body field to feel or sense the pockets of energy and where there's any disturbance. I use, if it's a serious kind of problem that these people are having, I use a pendulum to see where the energy flows are blocked. I may use crystals, but I tell the person what is going on, and I give them a visualization or a sensing or a knowing that the light energy is around their body and entering through the crown. And the light flushes through the body and it's then withdrawn. The client had sustained quite a severe jolt in a car accident. I actually knew, because she rang me and told me what had happened. She had a fracture to the shoulder blade. But the thing that I found in her auric field and within the body when I did the diagnosis was that there was a lot of shock and trauma in the solar plexus, the emotional field, that had to be released before that other thing could be healed, the physical body could be healed. And when I actually tested prior to the treatment, and I used a technique that I've only used a couple of times, and that was sort of a manipulation of the energy, because I could feel it was not coming. So the person herself actually could feel physically something coming up and wanted to cough, and I actually wanted to cough. Somebody else in the room was coughing, and because they were releasing it, coughing it up and getting it out of the system. So even though these problems or blockages can't be seen with physical eyes, you need a special equipment, you actually feel it in the physical body. And it's not, she didn't suffer any pain, she just suffered the sensation of something being coughed up. After the treatment, we closed down the aura and the crown, and we healed with the light the areas where the blockages were removed. And I tested the energy fields again. There was a dramatic difference. And she said, I just feel so light, I just feel so clear. So this is one of the effects. It doesn't really matter how serious they are, unless they're unconscious, that you can't, get them to express their feelings. I'd say 99.9% of the cases people have a dramatic effect of upliftment. It's an enlightened feeling. Now the white light energy has been used and tapped into for thousands of years. But my guides advised me, and they just said to me one night, take the light up. So in doing that, I've been able to really help people who are in probably depressed states, physical accidents. I haven't cured cancer. With the light, I haven't cured AIDS, but I haven't treated that many anyway. But I get a lot of emotional disturbances, and it's quite dramatic, the results.
One of the most mysterious phenomena used by spiritual and psychic healers is the technique of psychic surgery, where healers are able to command blood, tissue, and cysts to come out of whole bodies without cutting into the skin. Psychic surgery has been performed for many years and by a number of healers in the Philippines, where today it still remains very popular for chronic and incurable illnesses.
Well, psychic surgery, I believe, goes back thousands of years. The way that I became involved with it was in the Philippines. Around about in 1975, I went to the Philippines for a 3-week holiday. And whilst I was over there, I had some very powerful psychic experiences where I felt that I was initiated by spirit into the spirit, into the healer's circle, you might say. And just by being surrounded by healers, that opened my mind up to the possibility of that, of being able to do that. And in the Philippines, the healing's been around for at least, well, they know of many hundreds of years, and it was used by the traditional native Filipino doctors. And it became popular after the Second World War, when the American soldiers, a lot of American soldiers went to the Philippines, and they were able to observe the healing taking place. And of course, word of the healings went back to the States, and it spread, and lots of people started to come to the Philippines to receive psychic surgery. And there were wonderful results from the healing, fabulous results. But unfortunately, there became an element of jealousy within the medical profession in America, and they started to send a lot of video people over there to film to try and debunk the healing. So there was concerted effort by certain areas of the medical establishment to basically debunk the healing. It's not like as if you're physically cutting somebody with a knife. No, it doesn't work like that. Basically, how I work is I draw in energy through my crown chakra. I direct the energy through my body into my patient. And so it's actually the energy that is passing through my hands into the body. So in actual fact, my hands change vibration so that I can merge my hands with your body rather than actually make a cut. There is more of this merging of energies. I look at it as being pure energy. I think that we are in fact, that is what we are, is pure energy. And you can get energy from herbs or vitamins, many different sources. But with the psychic surgery, you're actually connecting into the universal source of energy, using myself as a medium for doing so.
And I guess you're not doing the actual healing, you're initiating the healing. Take place.
I'm facilitating the healing. Nobody can heal anybody else. What you can do is help somebody to self-heal. So what I do by channeling the energy through my body and directing it into my patient, I'm helping them to self-heal by giving them the energy that they need to do that. But what I find is that most people get ill in the first place is because they become energy deficient, usually from blocks, emotional blocks, inappropriate belief patterns, and these manifest in the physical body as illness. So if they can absorb enough energy into their body, they can then make a shift in their own consciousness so that they're able to change the inappropriate belief into a more appropriate one, or they can let go of the negativity that's in their body that is manifesting as an illness.
Another form of spiritual healing involves aura drawing. Aura drawings depict the colours relating to our emotional, physical, spiritual or psychological states and the energies which influence their functions.
The drawing of the colours is like a focus for me of the information coming through. So, and the colours seem to, well, they indicate to me different aspects of the person's life, and that could be past, present or future. So there's no actual good or bad colours, it's just energy coming through, and it's just seeing where it is around the body and how it's being used at this time by that person. So it may tap in on things like creativity, how they could best express themselves creatively at this time. It may indicate some sort of past trauma that the person went through, which is actually stopping them now from going ahead. It may indicate there's a whole variety of things that can be seen in the aura and perceived in the aura through the colours. So there's past, there's the present well-being, how they're feeling, are they clear on what's happening, are they flowing with their energy. There's also spirit connection. You can sometimes see if someone close to that person has passed over. If they're close to them, do they want to connect with them? Are they trying to communicate with them? Sometimes there's a guide around them that wants to talk to them, is trying to get through to help them to clarify their life in some way. And all aspects, even health, areas of tension can be sighted in the body, and then healing can be done on those areas to bring it more into balance, or the person can receive some guidance on who would be good for them to see to get some help at this stage if it's a health problem. I feel the colours come through. I don't feel like I visualise them. I feel like a colour comes through and I might actually see a colour, or I might feel a colour. It's just a different sense, perceiving and feeling. Or I might hear the word red. There's a lot of red around the neck. The throat area is inflamed. What's happening? And usually with an area of tension, then it goes into an emotional aspect of the person's life. So often, you know, if you're honing in on an area of tension, say the throat, we were doing a lot of work on Chris's throat. There has been a tendency for Chris not to speak her mind. She hasn't felt comfortable and able to really say what she wants to say. And so that can be seen in the aura. And so sometimes just bringing the person in touch with that, it's just a clarification. They might already know it, but having clarified, they get understanding about themselves. And when they understand themselves, they're able to move on.
I conduct spiritual development workshops, and in those workshops, with the aid of my guides and the guidance of those who participate in the workshops, we detect where our skills lie. We uncover them, and we find out that we have all these wonderful spiritual gifts. We do healings. The white light healing process doesn't have to be done one-to-one. It can be projected telepathically, and you just get the desire and the emotion going, and you project it like a laser. It has significant effects. When you work in a group, the energies are exponential, so that the energies are magnified so strongly that people ring up and say, "Were you doing healing on me last night? I feel wonderful," or "I feel 100% better," or "My God, I can put my foot to the ground, I couldn't yesterday," or something like that. So it is very powerful, extremely powerful. And we do, we get in touch telepathically, and we send out with the same emotions and the desire mechanism, and we'll get flashes of the other one's face, so we'll know that something's going on. And if somebody has a friend who's in dire need, we'll call a gathering, or we'll do it, connect up by telephone usually, and say, well, at this time we're going to sit down and merge our energies. Because once you make a connection, you induce the light, you're already tapped into a higher frequency. So you're getting more refinement in what's going on in the physical and the intuitive fields. And you're actually exciting the atoms and the molecules with the light. So you're actually going into that huge source. The white light source has untapped potential. We can't even guess at what we can do, really, with that energy, if we can just tap into the frequencies that are compatible with ours. Close your eyes, sit with your hands on your thighs and your feet on the ground. You can lie down if you can't sit up. Visualize. Think about, see or know that there's a point of light in the center of the universe. And this light you can see, and it is so bright. The naked eye could not look at this light. As you're watching this light, beams of it are shooting off, and one of these beams is coming right towards you. It will hit you on the crown of the head and spread around your body. And you can feel that there's love and healing in this light. You feel very safe with it because you are. There's comfort in having this light around you. And there's a lot of safety in having this light around you. Mentally, see that light, feel it coming in through the top of the crown of the head. You're opening your crown chakra to receive the healing light. Allow, feel, sense or know that the light is going through the top of your skull, washing through like raindrops, through your brain, through the back of the skull, the base of the skull, through the forehead and the face, down through the neck and the throat, spreading down through the shoulders, down the arms, through the fingers and the hands, out through the tips of the fingers and the thumbs. It's travelling down the spine now, through the torso, through the chest, through all of your organs, touching every cell of your body. Travelling through now, through the waist, and the small of the back, through the buttocks, down through the legs, the thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, through the feet and out through the toes. As the light is flushing through you, it's touching every atom and subatomic particle of your being. It's flushing out subconscious, repressed errors in judgment and thinking that you've made about things that you've done in your life. And it's sifting out the things that are ready to be brought out into the light of day. Now, slowly begin drawing that light back from the tips of the fingers, through the thumbs, through the hands. Draw it back. See it coming back like you're rolling up your sleeves. Pull it back through your forearms, through your upper arms, through your shoulders, and leave it at the neck. Start now at the tips of the toes. Pull that light back, just like you're putting on white leggings. Pull that light back. Pull it through the feet. Pull it through the ankles, up through the calves, through the knees, through the thighs. Draw it up through the pelvic area and the buttocks, through the torso as it's coming up, through the waist. You can feel it. You can feel it coming up. You can feel that something's coming with the light. Be quite assured that you are very safe. If you're having difficulty at this point in drawing that light back, or if you feel discomfort or uneasy, flush the light down again and start back up from the feet and draw it up very, very slowly, knowing that you're safe, that you're just loosening things that need to be released. Drawing it up now through the chest, right up through the torso to the throat. All of the light now has been drawn back as far as the throat. your body will sense and know and retain the beneficial effects of the light, even though it's withdrawn. It's done its job. Concentrate now as you draw that light through the throat and the neck. Draw it up. Through the jaw and the base of the skull. Draw it up through the face, through the forehead, through the brain, through the top of the skull, and allow it to go out to the source, right back to that point of light that was beaming down on you. Mentally close over the crown, the area on the top of your skull. It's important that you do this. It's important. Ask your higher self, the light that still has the frequency within your body, to heal the spaces that are left. And slowly return to an awakened state. You will be very aware, if you continue this practice, you will be very aware of the benefits that it can bring to you. Aligning and balancing, uplifting and lightening you up.
I think it's important, if you're going to start doing chakra work, anyone that teaches chakra work would teach you to, you don't close them down, but you do put a protective mechanism around them, because you can be too open. Or particularly in the work that I do, I've always got to go through a process afterwards of protecting myself, because if I open up to everybody's energies, you know, I'm just going to get sick. Very sensitive people, I find, are like that. They're so open, they're taking in so much. I mean, they might be the psychics or the clairvoyants, but, you know, they're not aware of how much energy that they're taking in. So certainly anyone that wants to try any of this sort of work, meditation or chakra work or aura work, needs to realise that they need to do a protection, first of all, and a closing down or a grounding of energy. A lot of people that get involved with spiritual work are very open spiritually in the spiritual centres, and they stay open all the time. They're not grounded. I mean, I actually was doing this myself for a little while until I realised that I wasn't grounding myself. When I do my meditation, my guidance would say to me, Margaret, drink more water, ground yourself more. You're coming out, you know, you're just spitting out up there. So I'm very lucky in that when I go into meditation, I'll sort of get told what to do. But it's easy to forget to protect yourself, to ground yourself, to sort of make sure that you're sort of closed down. Well, not closed down, but protected.
How do you ground yourself?
Well, I bring that energy through the top of my head and I send it right down through the earth, through my feet. I also do work on my base chakra. You can actually ground yourself by simply going out onto the earth, out onto the ground, walking on the ground. I mean, I remember hearing a few years ago people talking about hugging a tree, and I used to think, oh, you know, that's really weird. But actually, a tree, the roots are so grounded. So the energy of a tree is very grounded. The earth, the nature. So getting out into nature really grounds you. People that get out in their garden to get rid of all this worry, they're grounding themselves and they're bringing all this worry energy down to the earth.
Everybody believes in something, whether they admit it or not, even if they may just believe in themselves or their mother. And they don't have to see. They don't have to be creatively visual. There is a sense that they have that will pick it up. And by explaining that you're using a creative visualization or a sensing or a knowing that something's going on, that it will relax them, and you're going to give them step-by-step instructions, they're quite happy with that. I have icons in my home, I have crystals in my home, I have Buddhas in my home, and so whoever comes in doesn't feel threatened. And I have those because I've picked them up and wanted them in my home. But it has proved quite good, because people have said, oh, I looked around and I thought, oh, there's a picture of Jesus, that's okay. Mm-hmm. So they feel comfortable. And you've got to trust what you're doing, even though they might be thinking, oh, this is a load of hogwash. They've got to sort of say, well, I'll go along with it. And even if they resist, it's quite interesting. You can actually see the light energy working. Well, spirituals can see it anyway, but there are some visible techniques that people trying it at home can do, and that is to watch the rapid eye movements. Once the light goes in through the crown, that's it. They start to REM straight away.
I mean, there may be people that find it hard to believe, which everybody's entitled to have their own belief about the psychic surgery. But the thing is, for a lot of people, it has worked. And I think that something that has worked and has proved to be successful for people that have tried every other modality of healing. It may not just be, I'm not just talking about normal Western medicine, but they may have tried chiropractic work, acupuncture, they may have tried all kinds of different alternate therapies, and nothing has seemed to work. So they seek out a spiritual healer or a psychic surgeon, and that the healing is successful. So in my mind, to take something away from people like that is a crime. I mean, I don't think people should be allowed to, just because they don't believe in it, say that nobody else can believe in it either. I think if it is helping people and it's not hurting anybody, then why take it away? You know, because you don't believe in it.
The idea of spiritual healing, I don't think it has really any conflict with the medical profession. I guess when you start using things like crystals and things that they don't believe in, that's when you get into difficulties. But often medical practitioners will recommend that people have stress relieving meditations, and the white light meditation is a very stress relieving meditation. So they actually prescribe at times to their patients to go and have these other types of therapy. There are some medical professionals I know who are very into this, but generally speaking, this sort of thing isn't accepted by the community. They'll say, oh, haha.
Well, traditional medicine is very mechanical, and they don't look for any reason behind it. Oh, you know, the reasons might have been you got a bug, or it's genetic. See, I believe genetic is karmic. There's a very strong family karma, and you know, all they want to do is give you something to either mask the illness or, you know, whatever. Whereas spiritual healing, it's not painful, but it's not, I don't take the responsibility. The responsibility is the patient's, and I'll give them as much loving, understanding, caring to help them see what it is that they're meant to be seeing. And sometimes you don't want to see something about yourself. So it's just, I guess the difference is that it's very, the aim is for the person to love themselves, to realise that within them is this perfection, and it's the personality and the ego and the physical body, which might be a bit of a, you know, bummer, but to understand and forgive and accept ourselves, even if we're, you know, too fat or get headaches or whatever. Maybe we're not nurturing and loving ourselves. Perhaps we're, you know, we get stuck into chocolate, and that's giving us headaches. But, you know, I could easily say, well, don't eat the chocolate and take even this herb. But you've got to go right back to, you know, why are you overeating? That's a sign of nurturing, and so it goes on and on and on. But I usually recommend that people do something like meditation. It needs to be ongoing. Well, I think it's becoming more and more accepted. It's become more widely known. I think doctors, for example, would accept it more if they realise that, see, what doctors worry about, and being a nurse I know where they're coming from, that everyone's going to leave the hospital, the medical pool, and they're going to run out and find some person that lays their hands on them and says, I'll cure you. Now, there needs to be this, you know, exchange of you know, discussion that, okay, I'm not stepping over into the medical profession. If a patient chooses to continue with radiotherapy, chemotherapy, whatever, you know, I never say to people, don't do that, that's crazy. So you somehow or another work together for the benefit of the patient. So I think if that could come about, that'd be fabulous. It's the same with all alternative therapies. It just needs to eventually get the medical profession to say, okay, they're not trying to take over from us, but we can work together. It's the old idea of separation. You know, let's keep in our separate camps, and as you realise, even some of the natural therapists keep in their separate camps. And so separation gets you nowhere. Separation keeps you apart. But when you join it together, two whole things joined together gives you a much greater outcome than all these little bits and pieces. So I'm sure it will come.
Well, as long as there are people who need the service that I offer, then I will be available. When I can no longer assist people, or there is not a need for me, then of course that will be the end of psychic surgery. But I believe that Spirit has given me this gift because there are people that I can help that cannot be helped by any other reason. And I feel that it's my duty, because I have got this gift, to continue working, even though there are people who are going to be sceptical of it, even though there are people who are going to put me down for doing the psychic surgery. I feel that because it does play an important, it has an important function and does play an important part for many people as part of their healing process, I feel that it needs to continue.
My experience, and particularly in the last couple of weeks, there's a quickening of the need for spiritual workers. People who are enlightened, who can show people self-help techniques that can lead them on to something that sits well with them. Not every type of healing is everybody's cup of tea, but there is a method that really uplifts everyone, and that is the white light, because it controls all of the other types of healing. Reiki healing, charismatic healing, shamanism, faith healing, all of these things are using the white light energy. It's like a Christmas tree with all the different coloured lights, but the source is the same.
Spiritual healing is the capability of harnessing or allowing the fullest expression of the universal energies that surround us to pass through either into ourselves or onto someone else. Through absent healing or laying on the hands or by other means, a spiritual healer focuses this pure energy available to all to enable the spiritual, mental and physical body to heal.